Hi, welcome. Glad you're all here with us today and people are coming in.
Yep.
We would like, as we're kind of letting people come in and just introduce yourself, how long you've been in the role, what region maybe you're in, if you haven't done that yet. One of our questions for the day is, what are you grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's what Erin Jones, we have the honor of having Erin Jones at our particular region's uh, as a specialist or as a consultant, I guess, as an equity consultant. So she taught us this last spring when she was with us, and we've been using it ever since. So if you have something that you're grateful for, you can unmute and tell us, or you can put it in the chat, however you'd like to do it. I'm thankful that you're all here and with us on this late afternoon meeting and session with us. So we appreciate all of you.
Absolutely. Diet Coke. Yep. You need that caffeine.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started as you guys are kind of putting things in the chat. My name is Shelley Knight. I'm a early achievers coach in the OLPEN or the Olympic Peninsula region. Been a coach there for about 4 years. Have a specialty in tribal relations. So I'm from Alaska and kind of out in the very remote part of Alaska where you have to have flights and boat rides to get to the village. I'm from a small village of Calskag, and my Yupik native name is Sayak. Sayak means red salmon. And that is kind of the best salmon that there is that has the richest in omega-3s and that kind of thing. So that's kind of who I am, what my name means, and so I honor my Yupik relatives by using and putting my Yupik name in my Zoom calls. I have facilitated a PLC with other coaches for family child care providers and for center administration. I also facilitate a tribal PLC for coaches, but what we're going to be focusing on today is mostly the PLCs that we have for providers. So I know there's all kinds of professional learning communities or communities of practice, which we call COPs. Sometimes they're the same thing, but where our focus is going to be on for providers today. And I got to tell you that at first it was kind of scary to, kind of start one up. And but I really did get help from other coaches. Natty really encouraged me to get started and do it with her. And so I appreciate that. Our first family childcare professional learning community had been running about 7 years, and then the pandemic hit. And we wanted to keep it going, knowing the importance of community during that time. And so we had to do this real quick flip from an in-person meetings to virtual meetings. So we'll be talking about both of those kinds of meetings. And then our center director professional learning community, we started about 3 years ago virtually. I jumped in when another coach left, and then we added a couple more coaches and their providers, which gives us a good, well-rounded group that we have that meets monthly. Also wanted to just let you know that Rosie is our host from Childcare Aware of Washington, and she has been instrumental in actually helping us get one of our professional learning communities kind of off the ground. It had been going, it had been really dipping down in attendance, where we only had 1 or 2 people. And then she came along, gave the providers some ideas, and we have her packet in the handouts today too. So I just wanted to let you know that she's with us. And Natty's gonna introduce herself now.
Well, first, I want to just say hi to many of you, because I've known most of you, some of you, your faces are very familiar, and it makes me feel so much better that I know some people here. Well, but I wanted to thank you all for choosing our segment on professional learning communities, and for giving us the opportunities to share with you our experience on creating and sustaining PLCs, which are professional learning communities. So for those who don't know me, my name is Natty Diaz. My full name is Natividad, but you can call me Natty. I'm also from Olympic Peninsula, and it's hard to believe that I have been in this role for almost 11 years. And I remember when I first started this role, and the idea of leading professional learning community was so intimidating. It was very scary. And I really didn't have any confidence to working with, adult. Of course, I had the confidence working with children, because most of my career has been in working with children, directly with children. But the adult learning and meetings, it was completely different for me. So, however, I am grateful that I had mentors that helped me through the steps on how to continue some of the POCs that were already happening, and even start a POC from the beginning. So just like Shelley, I facilitate POCs for family childcare providers and directors, and those have been running for quite some time, as she mentioned. But as I went through this road, I really had to learn, to explore the tools on my own and do research, and learn ways on adult learning, which helped me to develop providers, see the purpose of our meetings, where they would value each other, develop trust, and cultivate long-lasting relationships. So we hope that this presentation gives you an insight and ideas to provide a space where providers, teachers, and directors can learn the value of collaborating and learning together. So right now, we're going to go ahead and talk about, in this session, you're going to be learning the objectives, which are, we hope that you will gain insights into the value and benefit of professional learning communities. We also hope that you explore ways to establish professional learning communities, PLCs, and share a variety of ideas for activities, topics, and celebration. And then lastly, we also hope that you will come away with actionable ideas to kickstart your own PLC as early as next week, hopefully. With that practical knowledge, you will be empowered, and you will quickly start and maintain similar groups among your providers. Shelley?
Thank you, Natty. So our agenda for today is, we've kind of done our welcome. I wanted to let you know this session will be conducted as a professional learning community that we facilitate. So all of the elements and things in our agenda are what we do in our professional learning community groups. So we will do that. We're going to explain why we do those components as we progress. So there'll be some of that, and then a little bit of explanation. We'll go through our community agreements. We're going to have an icebreaker. We'll do a check-in, which we're going to kind of divide into 2 groups, because we're kind of a big group now. So Natty will lead one, I will lead the other. And then we're going to go shortly into a brief definition and benefits of a professional learning community. We'll have hopefully the a good portion of our time, interactive discussion, brainstorming ideas, Q&A, and that's for all of us, because I know that a lot of you are doing professional learning communities, and we would love to hear some of your ideas as well. Then we've got some really special closing things. So we always kind of say it at the beginning, like, stay to the end, because we have a door prize, and we really do have a door prize. So, so we're going to be doing that too.
Yes, that's amazing. I know. We try to keep the momentum going, right? And so this is what we actually do with our providers. But I wanted to talk real quickly about the group agreements. This is something that we do with the providers. We know that many of these educators come from different backgrounds, and you know, one of the things that we want to help them is with we want to cultivate a sense of professionalism within the group and establish a set of qualities and characteristics to connect with one another. So that is one of important component because we come from different backgrounds, and when we come together, we're just like little kids. And so we want to again foster, you know, that sense of unity. So of course we begin and end on time. So it means we respect each other's time, keep track of the time to ensure that we finish on time and respect everyone's schedule. We also hold confidentiality, and we know the adults come with a wide range of experiences, interests, and knowledge, and they want to share. And a lot of times they may have some conversations that is just for the group. So what is said stays in the group. We also know that through those conversations, there's going to be some venting, which we know is unavoidable in groups. People will express themselves for what they are passionate about. They like to share their likes and dislikes, barriers and problems that come up with the work. But the idea of this group is to help brainstorm and resolve issues, together. Also speak respectfully. We help, we bring this in terms of, speak the truth. There is a way of speaking your truth, being mindful of different languages. We have, within our group, we have English language learners who might need the interpretation. And so it's always important to keep that in mind. Another community agreement is to listen and not interrupt, share space, allow others to speak. One of the things that I know is like, even our verbiage is different than the people who are coming into our group. So sometimes we may have to even break down what that looks like and what it is. So for instance, the share the spaces. That's one of the questions that I asked. What do you mean? What are your thoughts about, what does that means to you? And we all have came with different ideas. So it's always important to kind of like, what do you want to see established there? So that then everyone will be in that same page. Sometimes there might be, they might have questions, if you want to maybe define some of the questions, because sometimes some of those questions may lead the conversation somewhere else. So how do you group them again? It might be by you being intentional so that you can bring the group back, just proposing a question. Also support the facilitator efforts. We have providers who are now taking the step to leading these POCs, and so they are nervous just like I was, and so they need a lot of support. So we want to encourage them to stay on topic, and of course, again, using questions that are reflective questions that will help them to, bring it back, and loop the conversation back to the topic. And lastly, cultivating a safe and brave place. We know that topics may bring up uncomfortable feelings, which is okay, but we want to encourage providers to reflect and in something that you can reflect with the group, or giving them the option to reflect with you as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Natty.
Yeah.
This is a picture of one of our it's actually the Family Childcare Professional Learning Committee, or what they actually use as a community of practice, a COP.
Mhm.
And so this is the agreements that they had, and actually this is the agreements that they had prior to the pandemic. And we've kept it. Actually, I think Natty has kept it. And we just pulled it out the other day when we had our group meeting, and this one happens to be an in-person one. And these are their community agreements.
Mhm.
Silence is honored. Everyone participates that works for them. A right to pass. Have fun. Confidentiality. Okay to be off topic. All languages are included. And so in this particular group, we do have Spanish speaking providers that come. And so this group, when they do articles or podcasts or something, they always find it in the dual language to send it out. And then Natty will help to interpret during the meeting when needed and things like that. Food at every meeting. Oh yeah. They like that. Number 9 was share space. 10, agree to disagree. And then 11, they just added on this last month, the October, when we met all together, and all viewpoints are honored. So we just kind of want you to think about, the types of community agreements. What do you notice? Would you change or add anything? If anybody wants to share in the chat or unmute and just let us know what you think. Or any questions. The previous screen is the actual community agreements that we use with our virtual meetings. And then this is the one that we use for our family childcare providers.
You said that this is the one you had before the pandemic. Have you thought about maybe new providers in the group, maybe like reviewing and maybe updating if they
Mhm.
would like to, since it's, any kind of agreement, it's great that you guys have kept the same sheet of paper for them, and pulling it out, I think is also a great too. But I'm just thinking about like newer providers who've joined the group who didn't take part in establishing these agreements, maybe kind of starting again. And if those same ones come up, then great, they've had their input and say in
Mhm.
doing the new community agreements.
Hmm.
That was the only thing that stuck in my mind. I'm like, ooh, that you guys have had these for a while, but there's also a lot of new providers who maybe just felt like they inherited this as opposed to been a part of it, part of
Mhm.
establishing them.
Yeah, that's some really great comments. I think this was kind of a kickoff, and we do have several new providers. So this was the professional learning community that really dipped down, like we had a really good group, and then it dipped down to like 2 people coming, and then we were trying to build this back up. So now, yes, this last time in October when we met, we had 14 people. So we have a lot of nuance, and so that's some really good feedback.
I think those are all really good, but just
Yeah,
again, so that the newer people can feel like they have
right.
ownership of establishing that.
Yeah, I think you're right too. So the provider that facilitates this particular group, us coaches on this one, we just kind of step back, and we'll explain that and why we do that. But for the provider that did this
Mhm.
She did go through it with everybody, and that's why they decided to end up doing 11. I'm sure that she will go through it again in November when we meet and and tweak it. But I think those are some great suggestions. Yeah.
One idea that I always like is all ideas are welcomed. And so that makes
Mhm.
people feel like all ideas are welcome here.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, that's great, Chris.
I'd like to interject if that's okay, Shelley.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you noticed, but number 11, that was part of the new agreement that the group came up with when we actually came together. And another thing to remember is that this is a provider who actually has stepped out to facilitate, right? And so this is, I believe, it's our third time meeting with, taking the lead as a facilitator. And it's really great to see her in action and, going through the process of learning what's important, listening to the group. And so I just wanted to add that to this conversation, because I know even for that 11 was something that they actually shared together as a group.
Mhm. Yeah, great. Okay, so we're gonna start with an icebreaker, and we usually, a lot of this doesn't last this long, but what we're doing is we're explaining each of these elements that we do in our community of practices. So why do we do an icebreaker? Well, we want to get people actively involved right at the start. To get to know one another in a fun and interactive way, building relationships and see how we kind of relate to one another. So we have a question here,
Mhm.
and it is, what is your favorite candy that you were hoping to get when trick-or-treating? This is actually the icebreaker we're using on on October 30th when we have our directors PLC. We're using this one. But Rosie, do you have that in the chat as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you can either take this QR code or share it in the chat. And I'm going to stop sharing for a minute, and we can also look at the results. Rosie, do you have the Slido poll? Oh, actually, I have it. Oh, it's expired, sorry. Maybe yours was more. Let me take that off again. See if I can. No, we did. Okay, well, look at this. Here we go. So this is what we are seeing. Reese's Pumpkin, Snickers. Snickers was one of the big ones. Twix. We have Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Lots of peanut butter cups. Almond Joy. Bit of Honey. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Good Bars. Smarties. Almond Joys. So what do you, anybody want to unmute and let us know what you particularly look for and why?
I will say that I am not picky when it comes to candy. But the Reese's Pumpkins are definitely superior to the regular peanut butter cup because it just has that little bit more peanut butter in it. So
I was gonna say the same about the Reese's pumpkins.
Yeah.
They just, I'm a peanut butter girl and I love the ratio of specifically any of the holiday Reese's compared to the regular ones. They do have the big cups now year round, which is nice, but there's just something about the shaped ones that they're just better. And maybe that's my neurodivergent brain just enjoying the novelty of it, but it was always the Reese's. And thankfully my kid is not a huge Reese's fan. So every time Halloween comes around, they always put those aside for mom. That's the mom tax.
Mm. Did anybody have to trade some of their Halloween candy for their brother or sister, or?
My sisters and I all liked Snickers, so we all fought for them. Even after my oldest sister stopped trick-or-treating, and she was 6 years older than me, so she would always like dig into our candy.
Yeah.
I just saw Cassidy's comment in the chat, and the potato thing made me laugh so hard. My kid asked at a house for a potato like 2 years ago, and the guy at the door was so confused, but was like, okay, and went and got them a potato, and that was their favorite thing that they got that night. And I don't know if it's just because my child's a weirdo, very proud weirdo. A couple of years ago, it went viral on Facebook that someone had put a potato in their candy bowl just to see what would happen, just to incite chaos, as some people like to do. And then they started taking in tally for how many kids chose potato over candy. And at the end of the day, after trick-or-treating was over, they had like a solid like 40 or 50 kids had picked the potato instead of candy. And again, I think it's just because this next generation are just absolute random weirdos, which I love. But my kid was one of the kids that was just obsessed with getting a potato that year. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but it's funny, and I'm always here for that.
That's hilarious.
I love that there are so many, many people like the same thing, right? So we kind of are related some way or another. And this is a great way to have providers see that we have similar things with each other, and kind of breaks the ice, breaks the tense, being tense, and opening ourselves to one another, just like just did.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. We like to see your faces too. And we have a
I think
poll.
Kathleen has a question.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
I have a question, and so sometimes you mentioned that before the pandemic you had 14 folks come, and then it went down to 2, and then you have more this week or this time. So what does it look like when you only have 2 providers? Like the icebreaker and the whole system, and that you may be able to, maybe you're going to address that later, and you could if you want, but I'm curious. Sometimes I just recently started and there's 3, and that's great.
Yeah.
But there might be 2 tonight. Yeah. So I imagine it's just more informal, but still I want to have some structure.
Do you want to answer that, Shelley?
What
can
some of
answer.
the things we do are simply questions, like we would do, like, what are you grateful for? I mean, something really as simple as that. These are for more of the bigger meetings and group meetings and getting to know each other. But if they're 2 providers that have had a community of practice for 10 years, they know each other. So we would ask, we would do more of an icebreaker that would be a lot more low key, asking them, what are you looking forward to in this meeting? What, is there a particular question that you have, an urgent question, or do you have a celebration that you would like to share with us? It's those kinds of things that we've been doing.
Yeah, we want to put the same value in a bigger group. I mean, in a small group, like you will do to a bigger group, right? And so everybody's valuable. So if you have 2 or 3, you will do the same thing, and maybe it might be very informal. I mean, we always try to have even our big ones very informal too, because they're very informal people, right? They're like, we're very casual, and so we're preschool teachers, we're early learning educators. And so they love that. And so I think that it's important to be consistent, right? And then maybe perhaps this is something that happened with our group, that where it was large and then it started going down, and they were concerned about not having the group anymore. And so this is when Rosie came in, but we actually started brainstorming about how can we market? How do we sell? How do we help all the providers buy into this this valuable meeting, right? And so, yeah. So I think that there is it's important that even if you have one person, you can collaborate with that person and brainstorm on how to make it even bigger.
Yeah, and I think that, let's see, Amanda says I have a PLC that has 4 members. It's about just, it's more about support between each other for them. And they like to play and have fun. And yeah, we do too. And I guess that's why there's a lot of food, you know, and other things. I like the idea of asking about celebrations. What we'd like to do now is do a poll to really see how you know, this group here, you know, like the type of things that are going on in the chat. Rosie, if you could launch that poll. We're going to ask, have you facilitated a professional learning community, either currently now or in the past? And if yes, what type of providers attend your PLC? And our third question is, how long have you facilitated the professional learning community? Less than 1 year, 1 to 5 years, over 5 years? I'll give you a minute to look those over. Okay. So it looks like the majority of our group here, 71% that it's looking at right now, have facilitated a professional learning community. And so then as we look down at the providers.
Are we able to see the chart?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I think I have to end the poll if everyone's
Okay.
in. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. All right, and I shared it.
Okay, can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I see it.
Okay, so it
Thank
looks
you.
like we have 71% that said yes. And you can also put these in the chat as well. And 29% have not. Scrolling down a little bit, the types of providers, the majority of them are family home providers as a group, and that's really important group to be a part of, because they do tend to feel a little isolated, and you know, especially if they work by themselves. Center directors 21, other kinds of PLCs, you know, you can add those to the chat if you like. And then as we look a little farther, we've got less than 1 year as far as how long you've facilitated, that's 50%. And then 1 to 5 years, 21%, and over 5 years, 29%. So kind of split between less than 1 year and, 1 year or more. Great. Thank you, Rosie. So the next thing that we would like to do is go into 2 groups, just so that we're not so big. And we're just going to talk a little bit in our groups about, kind of sharing how your PLCs are going, or, if you haven't started, what might be some of the barriers. Are you trying to start, but you don't have much participation? I mean, I know, and this is going to be a kind of a short little breakout room that we're going to have. Rosie, I know I said 10 minutes, but maybe we should make it about 7, just for time's sake, so that we can actually get into some of the more nuts and bolts a little later on in our session. And so, yeah, I'll be in one session and Natty will be in the other. All right, welcome back. And so we're going to show a short little video clip of a provider that is, like asking other people to join a PLC. So.
Hi, my name's Miss Julie, and I am here just to tell you a little bit about the wonderful things that are happening within our PLC groups. And if you haven't been part of it, it's just
Can you
a
turn
really
it up
great
a little bit?
community where you can get together with other directors or other childcare centers to talk about different issues that you're going through. I found great value in understanding how other childcare centers do things and different issues that they deal with as well. So if you haven't been part of a PLC group, I really want to encourage you to find the one in your area, connect with your Early Achievers coach, and see if they can get you involved. Thank you.
So, Rosie, if you want to put that link into the chat, you feel free to use this one. She has, this is Julie Miller, and she runs a center in Olympia, and she has, given permission to, be sure you use it so you can get other people involved in PLCs. So, Natty, do you want to? We're going to kind of go over an overview of the professional learning community. So,
Sure. Yeah, there was some of the this was a question in our group. What is really a PLC? And so, so the PLC really is a peer learning group that where adults like providers, center director, managers, teachers come together to learn and build relationship. It's a team of educators who share ideas to enhance their teaching practice and create learning environments where all students can reach their fullest potential. So that is the focus, right? Unlike a COP is more as a group together, but there's different focuses here for this PLC, for the professional learning community, is more about how can we better ourselves, right? So that we can help the students reach the fullest potential. This group of people come together to share a common concern. Maybe they may have problems and how to even deal with managing classrooms, let's just say. There's an interest in a topic and also to fulfill both individual and as a group goal. This is a continuous learning group that meets quarterly and monthly to collaborate with one another. Also, what is the focus? Focus is that we want to help them to share best practices. What are the challenges that the group is going to bring in to create new knowledge to advance a domain of professional practices. So sometimes we might have to bring books, and this is, again, this is a lot of these decisions are made by the directors or the family care provider. right? So they may want to learn more about that. And so they may have books, book reading, and then they have discussions about it. And, and learning happens during that time. And then many of the POCs rely on face-to-face meetings. A lot of times this, even through the COVID, I think it was okay for, many of the teachers or FCC providers, because that was the only way that we could actually meet. But now that we are, things are moving on, I don't think they really like the virtual as much as a face-to-face. And so that's something that we were looking at. And when our group was a large group, and then what I mean large is like 10 providers, because a POC is more, I should say, what's the word I want to say? It's private, it's more, it's intimate, and people feel safer and intimate spaces. And so if it's bigger than that, sometimes it makes it really hard to provide that. And so they really love, that face-to-face. So when we were winding down, that's when we started, thinking about what else could we do. And so they said, we want face-to-face. And many of these providers who are coming now, they were not the ones that were showing up in the virtual. So now they're showing up because it's face-to-face. So that's something to keep in mind. Where particularly we were working with FCC providers, they're already isolated and they want to be, just collaborating with their peers. Sally?
Yeah, we also, like some people in my group talked about the COP groups, and we have our family childcare group in one of those. And there are people that don't show up for face-to-face, didn't show up for virtual, but are showing up in this particular form of communication, like it's like a chat, right? And just teaching them how, and teaching directors how to run some of these things in a staff meeting. But what's the benefits of a professional learning community? Well, you're able to communicate with others in the same field. They bring new perspective and some much needed adult interaction after spending most of the day with the children. And then we can also, they can also use it for, especially for the family childcare, they can use it in their records review tool. And if they meet for a minimum of 30 minutes and then record, a quick agenda and maybe the people that came, also the COP and CC can be used for that if you don't have any virtual meetings or face-to-face meetings, and that kind of thing. So those are some of the benefits. The centers have a different type of job embedded professional development that they have to do with their staff. So that's why we're showing them, modeling them what they can take to their, to their staff and that kind of thing. So how to recruit and market it. We have found that it's really based on, kind of building relationships and finding out what the provider's strengths or skills are to utilize with other providers. Maybe there's somebody with experience. Maybe people like to have, that's really good at encouragement. So the buy-in there is that we're providing a platform for networking, collaboration, building relationships, and using their skills to help benefit the group. So some of those things that we do to kind of market it to maybe a new provider or somebody that's on our caseload that we would like to invite, those are some of the things that we talk about on, in a you know, when you go do visits and when you talk to them in, you know, the type of communication that you do. And then starting a PLC, I know that some people start with a survey, whether it's a Survey Monkey or a Google survey, to find out, you know, their interest, maybe the best time of day or
Mhm.
time, you know, or day of the week, or day of the month. Figure out a location if it's going to be in person, you know, where would people like to gather. Gathering email addresses and sending out calendar invites or virtual invites with a positive message and agenda. And then again, just having that personal touch. You know, I text my my provider, you know, on a day or two ahead of time. We send out calendar invites, but a day or two ahead of time, just to, you know, hey, we're having this group and this is what we're going to be talking about. I'd love to have you come. And I also have a new provider that's Spanish speaking, and I have another provider that I've been with for 4 years that's Spanish speaking. So I have asked her very specifically to come and see if there's a connection with this other you know, Hispanic family that's coming to our, you know, starting our new group. So and she came. So it's those kind, you know, looking for that experience or that common ground and doing things like that. We have there's different types of professional learning communities. Again, the peer-led one is mainly our family childcare. So it is facilitated by a couple of the providers themselves. It's monthly. They meet monthly on the first Tuesday of the month, September to June, and then we take a break in the summer. And the providers are the one, you know, especially the ones that are the leaders, and they come up with the agenda for the meeting, a topic to study. They post topics in the COP group site. And but this, you know, this didn't happen quickly. You know, us as coaches, we gradually kind of handed over the reins over to these providers, giving them a task to do each month so that they can feel like they're comfortable with that. And so it took quite a while for us to step back and really give them the reins and have minimal participation. We go there to kind of show up and help them. And now it's completely facilitated by the providers. And as coaches, we just show up for the support and the food.
Yeah, we're just a fly on the wall, right? That's what we do. But there's a lot of you know, help. We're holding their hands throughout this process. This has taken us, what, 7 years, right? Because again, there is no confidence, right? They don't feel unsure. They feel unsure about what they're going to do. But meanwhile, as coaches, we were always listening and looking at their strength, and we will always say, wow, that was amazing. You could do this. You know, everyone else here can actually what is the benefit from that strength? And that's, I think, one of the things that we have learned is that core, where there's that core human values that we all want to belong, and we all want to have autonomy, and we all have competency, and that kind of gives them the platform to actually do that, right? Like, we, based on their strength, and we provide that. And so it's really great to see some of our providers doing it now on their own, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah, they were a little nervous at first too. You know, besides the peer-led, which I just talked about, there's also coach-led, and that's kind of what we do right now with the center directors. And what we're doing with them is we are moving, our goal in the director PLC is to move toward a more peer-led group. And so it really becomes that model, learning how to lead in their centers, you know, like staff meetings, they can present it to the teachers. And then it becomes the job embedded professional development for the records review tool points. You know, maybe they can have a reflective question that they can pose with the teachers.
Mhm.
Things like that.
I just wanted to mention something that Lori brought up, and something about there's confusion sometimes with PLCs and how is it related, right? And how is it related to the EA recognition point? So yeah, because the training is not going to be a PLC, right? It's me standing or just giving them a whole bunch of what is it, PowerPoints, that's not going to be a PLC. But what comes after that can be a PLC, right? Based on a question, or maybe they're more interested on whatever the topic was. And so now we're going to work collaboratively to come up with solutions or to help enhance our skills. And so that is something that sometimes we were in the beginning, it was a bit confusing because we're thinking that doing a training will give them that point, let's just say, right? But it's more about, it's that reflection part that, you know, magic happens, if that makes sense.
So let me just share just a couple of pictures here. This picture on the left, this big picture, that is with our family childcare PLC group that we had in September. So we went to a restaurant. It was kind of a, you know, a pulling back together after not being meeting in the summer. And so the group decided they wanted to meet at a restaurant. They picked the restaurant. We all met there, and we had reserved a table for 8 people. And then I got there, I'm like, no, I think we're having 4 more people come. So we pulled another table, and I'm like, wait, I think there's 4 more people. So then they pulled another table. So we ended up having like 14 people here at this one. Up here at the top is we have special speakers. We have food. This happened to be our, in May, we had a special appreciation day for the providers. And we have them out in the picnic. The one picnic out in the park, that's what the middle picture is. The bottom picture is we actually go to different childcare sites. Like this one happened to be meeting at this lady's, I don't know if you can see her, this one, her house. And so we got to go in and we got to see her her home and her you know, childcare area and outside and all that kind of stuff. So we go sometimes do that from home to home. And so this one up here at the top is our 10-year reunion. And we had a good group that showed up at the park, and we had a picnic, and Sandy Maldonado came and spoke, and we had pictures taken and different things like that. This bottom picture is our center directors. They wanted to meet at a restaurant. We found one in Olympia that they, you know, they made all the reservations, and we just kind of showed up. And of course, the bigger picture on the right is, you know, the food. This must have been taco night that we were doing, or that sort of thing. So we have both men and women in our groups. So this picture here on the left is when our appreciation dinner that we had. And we got together some little gift bags, and we had centerpieces that we gave away as door prizes and things like that. And we also had our regional coordinator come and speak at this little gathering. She said a few words, and we had just a fun time. We also had a masseuse there who's just learning to, you know, her skills. So she needed some extra hours. So she came and gave people massages, back massages. It was wonderful. This one down here is another June time that we worked together and out as a picnic in the park. And so those were some of the things that I wanted to, just some of the things we wanted to share with you. So in the handouts packet, we have what is a COP packet in the handout section. And this was created by Rosie, has a lot of ideas in it and a way to put up an agenda. So once you kind of get them together and you're actually doing the nuts and bolts of your PLC, it gives all kinds of different ideas. And it also gives the why, why do you do a icebreaker? Why do you, choose a topic, and how do you do a agenda and those sorts of things. So it's about 4 pages, and it's some really great information. It should be in the Elevate conference room, and in those where the handouts are. So anything you want to add, Natty?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something I forgot right now, but that it takes, it basically takes a lot of creativity. So sometimes, you might, again, we have so many resources as coaches that we can invite them into our PLCs. And sometimes that can keep the momentum. So like the DCYF, Child Care Aware, we have had Amber Costello come in, someone from DCYA to talk about scholarships. There's so many different things that we actually bring into the PLC because sometimes people need something fresh and new, or they want to be updated with something that's happening. And so that was one creative way to keep the momentum, particularly when it's virtual. So yeah, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, we have.
And I have to say, Rosie was one of she was one of the our guests, and but she actually talked about PLCs with our FCC providers.
Yeah, we have had invited partners to come in. Like Natty was saying, we've had Carol Jack from CCA of WA that comes in and talks about the scholarship. Scholarships. We've had Holding Hope mental health consultants come in. We've talked and had Ryan talk about advocacy. We also have a person from Child Care Action Council, April, who's very much into advocacy. She came. We had Diane Stokes from DCYF come and explain the education requirements and those kinds of things. Raising a Reader, Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We've had a business coach come in and talk about some of those things. So it really was dependent on what the people were interested in. So if they were starting to have all kinds of questions about licensing, then we would have what do you think? Should we ask a licenser to come? Yeah, sure. Okay. So then we would ask, usually not one of their licensors, but a license, a person that is kind of oversees the licensors, one of their managers or something, they'll come. So, so it's not real scary or anything like that. And so those are some of the things that we do. We've done book studies before, we've done topics, and I was in one of the Elevate sessions earlier on BizEdge. Oh my goodness, guys, there's so much information on BizEdge that you could take a resource or just about anything that the group is interested in and have resources right there at your fingertips. And so I think that might be something that I'm going to add into one of our PLCs is just show them how to use BizEdge and where to find some of those documents that they might need. But yeah, sometimes they do activities together or do articles. They, again, just keeping that momentum open.
Yeah, we also had someone who on Coaching Companion share a video with the whole group.
Mhm.
So that's another way for them to reflect on their practices. And when we do have people come over, that's just a section, it's not the whole hour. So we can it's just to kind of bring something new information, and then we go into the reflection part, right? That's what's going to count. So yeah, there's so many different ways that you can be creative, and just to, engage them, because once they engage and they have that relationship, they have been together for so long that they miss each other pretty much. So, and that was the focus or the purpose of this group, allowing them to see that there is value in each other and that there's a lot of ideas. I mean, sometimes we even talk about the many years that is in the classroom, right? I mean, in our when we come together, and sometimes it's like 75 years or almost 100 years, right? And so that helps people be encouraged and, see their whys, and why they're committing themselves to this work. It pays off.
Mhm. Mhm. We would love to open it up and just, have you guys share some of your ideas on what you do, maybe topics or books, or maybe some ideas that we haven't even thought about. We are here to learn as well. Natty and I are here to get just as much information, and ideas from you guys as we can, to take them back to really flourish our professional learning communities as well. So yeah, unmute, or if you want to raise your hand, feel free to do that. Any questions?
I tried something new this fall, and it's primarily with center directors, program supervisors in Whatcom County, although it was opened up to anybody pretty much in our region. But I haven't, several of the directors have been asking about needing leadership stars hours. And so I thought, well, I'll go ahead and offer one of the McCormick Center's Director's Toolbox training. So we're currently over 3 months, September, October, and November, using that as sort of the place for our discussions around that book. And those people who signed up for the class will get stars hours, but I didn't limit it to people who registered. I kept it open so we could have a broader conversation about the topics that center leadership are dealing with right now. And that's been a really interesting process. I don't want to do it all the time, but it has been a great way to connect people from, I think we've got people from 3 different counties that are coming together. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for sharing. That does sound like a fun. Let's see, we've got some things in the chat. And the center director's JEPD support to teachers can be a follow-up from the STARS training. Love the reflective questions of what a teacher would like to focus on in the classroom. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, having a teacher PLC is a great idea. I think something I'm struggling with the PLC right now is the timing for in-person. Oh yeah. Most providers are not available during the day, and I have a toddler, so I'm not free in the evenings or weekends. That work-life balance is hard for providers, but facilitators too. So true. That is so true. Trying to find that. And I was kind of surprised at how many family childcare providers wanted to do an evening session, because and I guess that's why they bring their food and their dinner, so they don't have to to try to eat before they come, because they worked all day long, 6 to 6, and then actually come out. But it seems to, for that group, it seems to be working, but it is difficult. Yeah, we were tired too, right, Natty?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we are tired, but I like the fact that we partner, right? We have sometimes more than 2 coaches there. And what we do, we bring our own providers. So if I'm not there or something happens that I can't make it, then someone else will go ahead and, and be there, because all we're doing is allowing them to facilitate and opening, maybe, just kind of like making sure that the building is open and things like that. So it's always good to kind of partner with someone else. And that really helped me because, again, as I mentioned earlier, my confidence level was so low and I just needed someone to just guide me through it. And I'm so happy that I was able to partner with another coach. And that's exactly what we're doing with our providers, right? There's a parallel process with that as well. And so, yeah. So I don't know, maybe moving forward, maybe you want to hook up with someone else, right? And see what happens. You might be surprised. And it doesn't mean, I know that we want to, the job embedded, for the recognition, the quality recognition, we want to go ahead and hone on that. But to me, it's more about honing on, valuing the network and collaborating with one another. So if we can make it quarterly, that's okay, right? So it's something to think about.
I think that's kind of one of the reasons why some of our, both of our groups are successful. Now our center directors, we meet at 12:30 to 1:30, right at their lunchtime. We tell them to bring their lunch. We meet virtually, and they can just come in and out. They don't need to put their camera on especially if they're in a room, or cleaning dishes or whatever they're doing. But we do that. But I think that a lot of the success is by grouping together with other coaches. And so I bring my, a couple of my providers. Natty brings a couple of her providers. We have 2 other coaches that join us, and they will also bring their providers and, to group together. And I think that's been very successful for us in Thurston County.
In addition to just getting a more diverse group, one of the things I loved about collaborating with other coaches was I think we were more creative about thinking about what our purpose was and how we would go about facilitating each session. And right now I'm doing it all on my own, and I find myself getting stuck and maybe dreading, the next session. And I don't like that feeling. So I really do. I agree with you. Having others that you rely on and plan with can be really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we send out, okay, so the center director email is probably 30 people that we send an invitation out to, and we get about 8 or 9, and so not everybody's going to come, and not everybody comes every time, but having other coaches and other providers from their caseload join us, it just kind of helps. It kind of helps build the amount of people that are coming to get more of a robust. You don't want it too big. I mean, I don't want it too big, but yeah. So.
Don't you think sometimes just having that invitation, somebody's thinking about me, just sending that message that you're invited, even if they can't come.
I like
Because
that.
I do know that I get emails back from directors saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry I couldn't come. I ended up getting pulled into a classroom." And it's like, it's okay.
Right.
And I think the invitation's important too.
Absolutely. I think that's all about relationship, right? It's like, yeah, you send me an invitation, but did you follow up, right? Like you said, right? So if someone doesn't come or they couldn't make it, then you follow up, right? Like, hey, we missed you. And that's a lot of times people are just very grateful for the fact that you thought about them, even though they weren't able to make it. So yeah, I think it's all about relationship, right? And just being genuine with people. And I think they can smell it, they know. We can hide it from them.
So looking in the chat, it looks like Rosie put in the COP handbooks right there, and yeah, and her email address. So and then let's see some other things. Cassidy says our most popular topic is anything related to positive behavior support, outdoor activity area enhancement, video highlights, record review, and using the environment as a tool. Our bilingual PLCs do very well and have a solid following. Our English can be hit or miss, but there's usually a few dedicated to those as well. And Lori says, the McCormick Leadership Series is a PLC series, was very helpful to the center directors about 5 years ago in the Southeast region. So that's cool. That's great. Jesse says, I facilitated a cohort for Spanish speaking FCC providers a few years ago, and it was very popular. Rotation of facilitators is super helpful. It is also a fear factor. Yeah. So we get together as coaches and talk about what we're going to do on the next PLC and how we're going forward, and kind of goals that we want for that group. So we've also offered raffle prizes as an incentive to join the PLCs virtually. That's kind of what we have done too, as far as our door prizes that actually show up. We also give a certificate of participation and email any resources that might be available. I think she mentioned that earlier. And so we just, yeah, thanking Jamie for sharing the reality. A good size for meaningful PLC is 3 to 7 people. Yeah, that's true. And Cassidy says our organization has a newsletter blast email to those who sign up, and then individual coaches mention it to their providers, either in person during visits or by emailing out a calendar reminder of facilitator requests. I create a calendar reminder for my personal caseload, email a reminder the day before and the day of. We do that too. That's great. Yes, Cassidy, we do the exact same thing. Send out the calendar invite, and then 2 days before, hey, remember we're having this one. And then the morning of, another coach will send out, the final reminder with the Zoom link or whatever it is. And yeah.
There's always a follow-up all the time. And even when I meet with them, if they didn't show up, I always say that, hey, I missed you, right? So, and a lot of times they do show up, the next time, whenever they can. It's not that people are forced, but it's more like someone is thinking about me.
Texting is good too. One of my colleagues had mentioned that most family child care providers do everything on their phones, including joining these meetings. So if you know that your providers are like totally everything comes from their phone, including like logging into Merit or their coaching companion or something. And so after she told me that, I texted reminders to providers to join our, our group learning experiences or whatever, is upcoming, along with the link. And wow, that made a huge difference. So it's some work though. I mean, it's a lot of copy and paste for the text. Because in a text, I don't think you want to send out a group text because then you're giving somebody else's information to somebody else. So it was a lot of copy and paste, which the first time I did it felt like it took a while because I had to figure out the process. But the next time it wasn't like literally didn't take that long at all. I'm gonna say 10 minutes, 15 for the whole caseload to get a copy paste and the link.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, right. And so many, yeah, so many people also not only just texting, but using QR codes. We're seeing a lot more of that as well. Might be something that we'll have Leigh or Katie work on doing for our group as well. Let's see, the center director PLC. See, we have about 3 minutes left here. The center director's PLC in Tri-Cities has 5 attending, and they share how meaningful the conversation is, very rich, renewing, and valued. And my FCC group is living social emotional tools right now, as well as local resources. My teacher groups are all in video highlights mode, core competencies and ELDGs. Yeah, we've done a lot of that too. And yeah, and then text, key for engagement. Yeah, that's so true. Okay, so we just have a couple minutes left. I'm going to thank you for all of those wonderful ideas. I think we're gonna save the chat because there's so many great ideas that we're gonna want to start incorporating too. And so we try to like to finish on a kind of on a high note. And so we will finish with a quote. Actually, I have a quote here from one of our PLCs. This is Deb Walter. And as a matter of fact, Deb Walter, who facilitates our family childcare, just finalized her level 5 as of noon today. So this is a high quality leader person. And she sent me this picture and she says, a child took that of me. But I'm not going to take the time to read the quote, but that would be something that we might end with. We might end with a quote. These are the resources. There's icebreaker games. And then as we close, we're going to do a wheel of names. So I think that Rosie's going to put those, just those different links in the chat as well. There's our email addresses, shelley.knight@ccacwa.org or natty.diaz@ccacwa.org. So let me, the one thing that we do in our group, in our center director group, is we do let me see if I can get it up. Yeah, we do a door prize at the end. So since everybody's here and you stayed all the way to the end and it's so late in the day, we have a door prize that we're going to give you, and I'm going to show you how we do it in our group. We do all kinds of little things that we do that we give away for our door prizes, and we do it with this what we call the wheel of names. So let me share the wheel of names, and then I'll show you what we're gonna so we use this, and what we're going to do is, if it I'm going to spin the spinner. When it lands on your name, if it's on your name, I need you to type your email address into the chat, because we have an Amazon gift card for you, and I'm going to email it to you. So make sure that your email goes into the chat. If that person isn't here, because we got your names off of the participation list, if that person isn't here, then we're going to do it again. So somebody's going to have to monitor the chat for me to make sure that we have all that. Okay.
Yep.
Natty, are we ready to spin the wheel?
Go ahead, go for it.
Okay.
See who's going to be the lucky winner. Ooh, who's that?
Elder Hernandez.
Is she here?
I
Oh,
think he's here. Yeah, he's in. Yeah.
he-
So put your email in the chat,
Awesome.
and stop sharing that.
Well, I want to see who Hernandez is.
Where's
Who is that person?
See where it says Elder and Becky?
Let's
See, they're
see.
waving their hands.
Oh, The ones down
that's who it is.
there.
Yeah.
The ones down there.
Yep, yep.
Amazing, great.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah, we try to make
So-
it as fun as we can, even with the providers, you know, so we wanted to make it fun for you guys too, so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for showing up.
Okay.
And wait, did I forget the Rosie, if you could just put the survey link in the chat. I think I forgot that part.
Okay, no worries. It's in there and I'll go ahead and re-put it in. Awesome. Please take that evaluation of the session.
Yeah, great. Thank you for coming,
Yeah.
everybody. We appreciate
you.
all your input.
Thank you for being here, and I recognize many of your faces, so good to see you.